Okay, so the recording is going. Okay, well, good evening. Oh, yes, Nick. Oh, are you not able to unmute yourself? Just let me figure out the settings here. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin the introduction.
No, that's okay. That was my fault. I had the settings done wrong. I figured that was an issue on my end. Anyway, so you can unmute yourself. And are you able to turn on your camera as well? Does that work? All good. Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry about that. Just trying to get set up here. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Large crowd this evening. Um, so this evening we will be presenting the Q&A for Vice President, Academic and External. Then we'll have the debate for the International Students Representative, and finally the Q&A for the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences representative. I'm your moderator for two of our three events this evening, Liam Bennett. I'll be moderating this first Q&A and the final Q&A today. This is. So a few announcements before we begin. The DSU is located in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We seek to honor the relational treaty process and our obligations as treaty people in our programming, events, meetings, and interactions. To limit disruptions, every candidate and audience member is asked to turn off their mics. Only the candidates are to turn on their camera and mics for the debate or Q&A. This meeting is being recorded. And finally, the chat feature is turned off. At the end of each debate or Q&A, the audience will be given the opportunity to ask questions by raising their hands at any point. They can unmute their mics and ask away. If an audience member is being disruptive, they will be removed from the meeting. Okay, so the first event of the night is the Vice President Academic and External Q&A. So I will be asking questions to the candidate, and you will have about 90 seconds to respond. This can go on for about 20 minutes or so, after which the floor will be opened for the audience to ask any questions. So for each question, when 5 seconds are left, I will raise my hand to indicate this, and please stop at the 90 seconds, or I'll just, gently nudge you to stop at the 90 seconds. I request that the candidate adds their pronouns to their team's name, although you could just say them out loud if you're comfortable. You don't have to actually add them. Just want to contribute to the inclusive environment we're hoping to cultivate. Do you have any questions kind of before we start? Okay. So I have a list of some questions here that I might modify kind of as we go along, given some timing. So the first question I have is, why are you running for this position?
All right, thanks, Liam. My name's Nick. I'm running for VP Academic and External, of course. And I'm running because I see a lot of students around campus on Dalhousie suffering, and they're suffering at the expense of the university, at the expense of governments, whether it's provincial, federal, or municipal. And I strongly believe that I am a good candidate for this role, and I'm able to kind of rebuild bridges that have been broken over the past few years, rebuild community after the COVID-19 pandemic. And I also serve as Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences representative, so I feel I have kind of a base understanding of how the DSU functions, and as well as some experience in politics. And of course, I'm a political science major, so I think I bring a lot to the table in that respect.
Great, thank you. The next question is, why are you the most qualified for this position?
I apologize. My pronouns are he, him. I forgot to mention that. So sorry.
Thank you, no
One,
worries.
Thanks. I believe I'm the most qualified for this position because I have an extensive background in politics, and the VPAE has an important role in championing and advocating on behalf of students at the government level as well as on academic issues. For a few years, I've been volunteering in politics. I've been a provincial candidate in the 2021 general election. So I believe I have the connections and I have the ability to kind of navigate the advocacy work at the government level. And as I previously mentioned, I think as a Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences representative, I kind of bring an understanding of the DSU that will support students.
Great. Thank you. The next question is to please describe your platform.
So my platform is obviously student focused. Really, my number one concern is addressing unfair tuition increases and mounting fees on top of things like the housing crisis, cost of living crisis. I think the university has a responsibility to kind of support students during this time of need, and I believe that with provincial governments working with the university, I believe we all have a responsibility to work together. It's important to criticize, but it's also important to collaborate and work together to make change.
Great. Absolutely. Thank you. Next, I have, from your perspective, what is the most important obligation of the VPAE position, and how do you plan on succeeding in fulfilling that obligation?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, for sure. From your perspective, what is the most important obligation of the VPAE position, and how do you plan on succeeding in fulfilling that obligation?
I think the most important obligation of not only the VPAE but also the entire executive and anybody on council or anybody working within the DSU is commitment. It's a very important role that the student union holds, advocating for 22,000 people. It's important and it's very powerful. So we need to have people who are committed. We need to have not just executives, as I said, council, everybody around. And I am committed. I believe this is an awesome role for me, and I think by making myself accessible to students and being active on campus, I can display that commitment and work towards showing that to the students.
Great, thank you. The next question I have is, what you started to mention a little bit about, is what does an accessible executive or council look like to you, and how will you make yourself more accessible?
I think there are a variety of ways you can make council or the DSU in general more accessible to students. I think it's important to prioritize time management, but also, making sure that students know who you are. You have to go out and talk to students. And not only that, you need to foster a community which they feel engaged to collaborate with you. So I will be, personally, if elected, I will make it a priority to be on campus, to, make connections with first-year students, to know, throughout their degree at Dalhousie that they have a friend and an advocate in the DSU. And simple things like I would be comfortable giving out my phone number, or just making sure people have my contact information, making the DSU website more accessible as well, to ensure that people can navigate and find resources for advocates like myself.
Wonderful, thank you. It is so important for the council to be accessible to students, definitely. Okay, moving along, the next question I have, it's a bit of a long one. So on the DSU election site, there is a list of duties and obligations or responsibilities imposed on the VPAE. Disregarding this list, how would you personally characterize the duties and obligations that the VPAE has to the entire Dalhousie student population?
So the responsibilities outside of what's actually displayed on the website.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
probably say, like, what does the position mean to you? I guess, like, disregarding what the official list of roles and duties is.
hmm I think, and this, like I've said before previously, like this applies to any DSU executive or anybody on council. It's really about making the connections with students, talking to students, because ultimately we are representing the student body. And if we're not having those important discussions and reaching out to students, and as I said before, making sure that we're fostering an environment where they feel they can also reach out to us, not just us reaching out to them, we can foster a better student body. We can make sure we're representing people better. I also think that just making yourself accessible in general, as we've previously mentioned, is an important part of the role. Sorry, I'm just thinking here. I think that's all I have to say for that.
Thank you. Um, the next question I have is kind of a follow-up, I suppose. So the description of the VPAE position on the DSU site reads as follows. The Vice President, Academic and External, identifies trends in education affecting students, develops advocacy campaigns, and lobbies for student needs with government and administration. What trends in education do you feel are currently affecting students?
Um, at the moment, there are a lot of academic issues students are facing. I've sat on the Senate Discipline Committee, where I kind of see firsthand, how students are affected in terms of academic integrity. I see areas where we can, make the process of you know um, academic rights and academic integrity better. For example, I don't feel that students really know about their rights in terms of academic integrity. I feel like students are often marginalized when we go through this process, and I feel there is also improvement to do in terms of the speed at which cases get thrown in the Senate Discipline Committee to make sure that we're not causing any more hindrance on academic integrity violations. I also want to ensure that the price of tuition that we're paying is reflective in the quality of our education. So it will be a broad discussion between the Senate and Dalhousie and students, but ultimately ensuring that we are getting what we're paying for is of the utmost priority for me.
Great, thank you again. Another similar question. One of the other responsibilities listed on the DSU site is that the VPAE represents the DSU to external organizations. What traits do you possess or policies you want to implement that would facilitate this representation process?
Sorry, could you repeat the question just one more time?
Yeah, for sure. So similar to the last question, there is a responsibility of the VPAE listed on the DSU site, which says the VPAE represents the DSU to external organizations. So the question is, what traits do you possess or policies you want to implement that would facilitate this representation process?
Perfect. So the VPAE has an extremely important role in advocating on behalf of all the students in terms of external relations with a variety of groups, the government. I think the number one trait I could point to is collaboration. Although I'm very critical of different levels of government and the university. I also want to emphasize collaboration because I believe we can do better, and I'm optimistic that all parties want to do better for students. So it's really about having the collaborative mindset and going into these conversations with an open mind and working together. In terms of policies, I would very much like to see a reduction in tuition fees. I can't promise that here tonight, but I can promise that I'll advocate very strongly for it. I don't think it's something we should ignore. I don't think that international students having to suffer a 20% increase in tuition in 5 years is acceptable. I don't think that it's fair that the government has, ultimately reduced fees in operating grants for university revenue in the last decade. I think advocating for that will be one thing that I will prioritize. There's a variety of other ways we can, reduce fees that I've been looking at. I've been looking at kind of reducing textbook fees, which is good for academics and can be done working with professors at the university.
Great, thank you. So the next question, again, similar to before. So according to the DSU bylaws, the VPAE is required to sit as a representative of the union on university committees related to academic issues. What committee do you hope to sit on and why?
I've enjoyed working on the Senate Discipline Committee. I think that it's kind of telling how it can affect different students in different ways. And as I've mentioned before, I've been kind of disappointed in the speed at which a case of academic violation. So once an academic violation is discovered, and then once it is made through the system, and then finally a decision is made, I think we can kind of streamline that process, make it a little bit more quicker. And I think it's important because a lot of students are disproportionately affected in different ways, and in different programs there are different standards across the board. So we need to make sure that when we're addressing academic integrity, we do it in an equitable fashion and one that's fair for students.
Absolutely, thank you. The next question is, how are you planning on advocating for the interests of marginalized students?
So as I've said kind of a few times, it's important for me to be accessible to students, and I'm planning to go out there and talk to students. But like I've said, it's also important to foster an environment where students feel comfortable, where they feel safe, and where they feel empowered to reach out to their representatives to see change. I don't get the sense that that's the case right now, and I'd like that to change. So I'll be advocating for seeing an increase or trying to promote more marginalized groups seeking their voices, and knowing that the DSU is here for them and I'm here for them. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're just coming up to our last couple of questions here. So it's been about 20 minutes. So the next question is, what is lacking with the current academic support programs offered by the university? How will you advocate to fill these gaps?
Sorry, lacking with what was the
So what is lacking with the current academic support programs? offered by the university?
In terms of academic supports, once again, we're kind of getting into an issue of um, the constant barriers through accessibility, where people have difficulty finding these resources. Oftentimes, things are you need to email someone when really it could just be booked online and just ensuring that academic supports are promoted and are set up as efficiently as possible for students will be something that I'll be advocating for. I think there's a lot to be said about not only academic supports, but everything mounting on top of that, like cost of living, housing, increasing tuition. So there's a combination of a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and I think that I'll be able to, kind of navigate the different aspects of that.
Wonderful, thank you. So I just have two more questions. So this next one, um, in your opinion, how have the large unsanctioned street parties impacted Dalhousie's reputation, particularly among other Nova Scotia universities? What solutions will you advocate for?
Um, the community surrounding Dalhousie has been affected. Obviously, we have families in this area. We have families all over who have been affected by this. Businesses. I think the reality is it puts an emphasis on what the DSU should be doing, which is hosting more events with more resources to support events like this. Making sure people are safe, making sure people have proactive measures to kind of join into events like this and make friends with people. These are significant events in our community, especially after COVID. People wanting to get together and be together. So I think it's very telling on the DSU's part that there needs to be more work done there in terms of hosting events, and I would be supportive of the Dalhousie hosting their own homecoming.
Great, thank you. So we've come to the last question that I have. So I'll ask you to kind of wrap your closing statement into your response to this last question. So the final question is, how do the roles of this position align with your personal beliefs and motivations?
Just writing that down.
For sure.
As I've said previously, I think this role, it's very exciting, and I think it's tailored very much to myself. I'm a political science student. I've worked within and around politics. I pay attention to politics. I know what's going on, and I think I can bring that to the table in terms of collaborating with students and making something better so that people aren't suffering as much, because we're in a really pivotal moment right now with the economic challenges that we face and global issues. I think it's important that we have someone who understands the role and who will advocate for important issues like tuition. And as I've said before, I can't promise that I'll reduce tuition, but just because I can't promise that doesn't mean I'm not going to fight for that, because I don't believe that provincial governments cutting their funding to universities is at all okay. It's only allowed the university to increase tuition hikes. So I'll be bringing a collaborative approach to this role, bringing people together, while also being critical of past wrongdoings. I'll be looking to expand student supports. I'll be looking to make myself more accessible to the student body, and I'll be looking to make sure our quality of education doesn't get hindered by these uncertain times.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nick, for your insightful responses to the questions. So that means we've reached the end of our Q&A. So I'll open it up to the audience. If there's any questions, feel free to raise a hand. If not, then that is the end of our Q&A for the Vice President Academic and External position. The next event this evening, the debate for the International Students Representative, is not starting until 7. So I will just leave the meeting on. If anyone is staying, you can hang on till 7, or you're free to go. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Liam.
Okay, it is 7 p.m., so we will get started. So, hello everyone. I'm your moderator for this part of the event. I'm Abhirup Ramili. It is 7:30, and we are now commencing with the Q&A for the International Students Rep. A few announcements before we start. To limit disruption, every candidate and audience member is required to turn off their mics, and only the candidates are to turn on their camera and mics for the debate or the Q&A. The meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on the DSU website. And finally, at the end of the Q&A, the audience will be given the opportunity to ask questions by raising their hands at any point. They can then unmute their mics and ask away. If an audience member is being disruptive, they will be removed from the meeting. So I will be asking questions to the candidate, and they will have 90 seconds to respond. This will go on for about 20 minutes, after which the floor will be open to the audience for further questions. So when 5 seconds are left, I'll raise my hand to indicate that, and I will have to unfortunately cut you off at the end of the 90 seconds. So first question, why are you running for this position, and how are you qualified for the position?
Perfect. Yeah. So first of, can you hear me?
Oh,
Okay. So yeah, first of all, I will introduce myself. My name is Vinayak Maheshwari. I go with he, him, his pronouns, and I'm in my third year of industrial engineering. And I am running for this position because I will love to advocate for all the international students. I know that this position comes with a lot of responsibilities and work, and I'm confident that I have got the skills required to bring justice to this role. And that's so because I do have a lot of experience. I was the first year representative for the Dalhousie Diploma of Engineering Society, where I acted as an advocate for all the first year engineering students in Engineering Student Council meetings, and also helped organizing events such as the Professional Development Day, as well as the annual the flag football match, which takes place between SMU and the Dalhousie Engineering Society. And eventually, the very next year, I was promoted to being the Vice President Social for the Diploma Engineering Society. And my main role was to organize events for first and second year engineering students. So definitely being in that role, I learned how what goes in the logistics of an event programming, and how to plan a very successful event. And I was able to do one the Dalhousie Engineering Banquet, which happens annually in March. I was the organizer for that event, and that event was uh, very successful. And I'm currently the third year industrial engineering rep, where I act as the bridge between my classmates and the professor, as well as the industrial engineering department.
thank you. So the next question, how does this role align with your personal values?
Yep, definitely. So that's a great question. As I told you before, I love advocating for students. I actually love socializing with people. I am I'm really willing to help students with their issues, any concerns they might be going through, because I know I'm an international student myself. I came at the age of 17 to Canada, all by myself, and I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot, and I definitely know that there are a lot of insecurities that international students face, and uh, it's really being in like out of comfort zone. So I am here for them, and and that's why I'm running. I really hope that I will become the international student rep, so I will be able to become a very good advocate for all the international students, and help them with any of the issues or concerns that they might be facing.
Thank you. So the next question is, what are the biggest issues faced by the international students right now, according to you?
Yeah, I think there are definitely many issues, but I think one of the biggest one is the housing crisis. Uh, Lately, like the vacancy space in Halifax has decreased, and the rental costs have increased. So really not helpful for the international students. And as we all know, that Dalhousie University has a very large international student body, and we do receive a lot of students come into Dalhousie from all over the world. But it's been really hard finding a house, and in order for that, I am definitely going. If I become the international student rep, I'm definitely gonna participate in the housing project, which was mentioned in the presidential debate where the candidates would be working, the elected president will work on the housing project. So I'm definitely going to be part of it, and I will be able to bring up any concerns or issues that international students might be facing. Um, I think there are many resources available on the Dalhousie website, but I believe that all the resources that that they have provided are very general. They are more like just links to websites, which are not very helpful. So I think we have to really increase the services in terms of housing, in terms of housing crisis. I think we should have like um, uh, personal like housing advisors for students who can like really help them get a house at a reasonable and affordable cost.
Thank you. So the next question is, how do you plan to navigate the different needs of students from all walks of life? Like international students, they are from all over the world. How do you plan to work through their needs?
Yeah, great question. I think it all narrows down to the channel of communication. I think we should have a very open and a very transparent communication channel, and that can be through student surveys, or it can be through like focused group sessions where you can collect feedback from students. And as I mentioned, it should be very open and transparent because that will because otherwise students they usually hesitate to bring out any concerns or any issues that they might be facing. So we have to make sure that everyone is being heard and everyone is being included. And yes, yeah.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is the biggest challenge you will face while holding this position?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge might be is reaching out and to all the international students. As I mentioned before, Dalhousie has a very large international student body, and we have international students in almost all the faculties: engineering, computer science, sciences, arts. So definitely, whether you are hosting an event or whether you are trying to pass out an information, it's difficult to reach out to everyone. But I think uh, all the societies having DSU representatives in them is already a great initiative. So I know this is a challenging task, but if I'm able to get hold of all the DSU executives from different societies who can act as the bridge between me and the international students and from their societies, I think that would really like streamline the communication process, and I would be able to reach out to all the students.
Thank you. So going back to your experience, what previous experience do you have working in the DSU or for the DSU or with the DSU?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So actually, the last academic term, I was in the DSU elections committee. So I was the general member, and it was my first time being in the DSU. So I learned a lot about student advocacy, dealing with appeals, and I also learned a lot about DSU societies, positions and elections and how they are formed and everything. So that has given me uh, a broad fundamental idea of all the student advocacy needs and everything. And I have also been I'm currently together at Dal Mentor, where I've been advising first year students on where I help first year students transition from high school to university life with focus on mental health, time management, and academics. Um, Together at Dal is also collaborates a lot with DSU in terms of events and programming. Yeah.
Thank you. So the next question is, what do you think is one thing that the current or the previous international students rep has done that you consider to be a big positive?
That's a good question. I'm going to be very honest with you. Uh, okay, looking at the positive side, I have heard that the previous or the current international student rep, they have attended all the committee meetings. So which shows that they have shown their commitment to their role. But I don't know what happens in the council meetings, and I believe that action speaks louder than words. And to be very honest, I have not seen any kind of good work being done by the international student rep because I if you have noticed that International Center hosts a lot of events, like especially like the Monday night meal, which takes place every Monday around like 5:30 p.m. And they also have the International Games Night, which takes place on Friday bi-weekly. And the attendance in those events, 90% of them are international students. So I believe that is a great platform to engage with all the international students. I personally have never seen the international student representative there. So, and a lot of my friends, they were not even aware that who their representative was. So I believe that they could have done their work much better, but it was they have not done a very good justice to their role, because even I noticed one more thing is that last year, last academic year, there were no cultural events hosted. So, but now that DSU is
I will have to cut you
uh,
off there. It's the end of 90 seconds.
no
Okay.
problem.
Thank you. So the next question is, yeah, so we do have time for two more questions. So first is, what is the most pressing issue you plan on advocating for? Like if you had to narrow it down to one issue, what would that be?
Yeah, I did mention about the housing crisis, but there's one more issue that I'm really concerned about is about the co-ops. I've noticed, I've heard a lot that international students, it's been hard for them to get co-ops, especially from the Faculty of Computer Science. And we really want our students to stand out in the market so they are able to secure good jobs. And I believe that besides them focusing on their hard skills, which is of course very important, we should put a it's really important to focus on the soft skills as well, because I've noticed that uh, some of the societies, they are not hosting leadership building activities. Like I come from an engineering community. We have a lot of societies. We host a lot of leadership events. Even I myself have represented Dalhousie at the Canadian Engineering Leadership Conference, which happened last year. So I really plan to pair up with academic advisors and student societies, and try to host events focusing on the soft skills of people. So apart from gaining hard skills, they are also able to gain soft skills, which is very, very essential in today's competitive market. And I'm really hopeful that I will be able to achieve this through being involved in society, in pairing up with DSU executives from different societies, and also being in the student life committee.
Thank you. So the last question, why should the voters vote for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I said that I'm uh, I'm really willing to help all the international students with their issues and concerns. If I become the international student representative, I plan to also join the student life committee. So I'm able to host really great cultural events for all the students. Um, the upcoming VP internal, whoever the candidate will be, I do have a good personal connection with them, so I will be able to easily collaborate with them. Like DSU is taking the initiative to decorate for Ramadan this year, so I think that's a great initiative, and it will really increase the inclusivity and the diversity, and people will be able to know about the cultures and everything. And I also plan on joining the oversight committee, because I really believe that it's important that we hire the right candidates who are qualified and who have the right knowledge and skills for the DSO societies. And yeah, and lastly, I mentioned this in my candidate questionnaire that I would work on implementing newsletters, or like weekly posts for international students, so they're aware about all the services and resources provided by Dalhousie University, because you're paying for them and a lot of students are not aware about it. That's what I've noticed. Yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you. So, one second. Yeah, so that brings us to the end of the pre-planned questionnaire Q&A. So the floor is now open to the audience to ask questions. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. Yes. Yeah, you can just unmute yourself. You're not audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, we can't hear you again if you're saying something. Yeah, we'll just wait for them. It's fine.
Yeah, sounds good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, sorry, I think there was some problem in my mic. But yeah,
No.
my question was for Vinayak. Like as you mentioned, like the past or the current international representative isn't very much like present in every international event. So how do you plan to like fill that, like, or bridge the barrier where you can like meet a lot of international students and maybe help them out or maybe talk to them some way?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question, Om. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I'm definitely gonna uh, I'm definitely gonna volunteer with the International Center. I think that is that is very obvious that as an international student, I should be very involved in the International Center because most of the events that they will be hosting, um, most of the attendance is international students. So I will definitely be able to collaborate in those events with international students and learn about their experiences or any issues that they might be facing. So definitely, if I'm elected, I will reach out to the International Center. I will volunteer with them. I will give them ideas about events we can host. And as I mentioned that I really want to focus on cultural events because actually, like, I've been in Together at Dal for now 2 years, and in my first year being in the Together at Dal, I noticed that we we uh, we had events for Diwali, for Christmas, for Chinese Lunar Year, but this academic year, there were no cultural events hosted, and I think that was due to the lack of funding or maybe some other reason. So I really want to bring this back because I really believe that each and everyone should know about different cultures to promote diversity and inclusivity. And as I mentioned before, I will definitely be part of the Student Life Committee of the DSU. So I'm able to bring up my ideas to the VPSL, and together we can collaborate even with the International Center to host great events.
Thank you. Do you have any follow-up questions?
No, that sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. So, yeah, looks like we don't have any more questions. So this is the end of the Q&A. So yeah, we'll commence with the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences rep at 8 o'clock. And yeah,
Okay.
until then, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you so much, Aviroop. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello.
I I think if you don't mind, I might just go ahead and get started.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I don't think I'm not expecting many folks to show up in the audience, so I just for the sake of a Friday evening, yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead. So I'll be the moderator for the Q&A. My name's Liam Bennett. So this is the Q&A for the Faculty of Arts and Social Science representative election. So a few announcements just before we start. So to limit disruption, every candidate and audience, but I'm going to skip that because there's nobody else here. You can keep your camera and mic on. The meeting is being recorded, just so you know. And the chat is off. It's mainly just for audience members if they're being disruptive, but I don't think we'll have to worry too much about that. So this is the final event of the evening, the Faculty of Arts and Social Science representative Q&A. So I'll be asking some questions and you'll have 90 seconds to respond. We'll probably go on for maybe about 20 minutes or so, or if I run out of questions. When 5 seconds are left in your time, I'll raise my hand and I'll just get you to stop kind of at the 90 seconds just so we can keep things moving. Do you have any questions kind of before we start?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. So I'll just start off with the first question, which is why are you running for this position?
So I'm running for the Arts and Social Sciences position because I really want to get involved in the Dalhousie community, and I think that the student union is a perfect way to do that. I'm currently pursuing a degree that encompasses both the humanities and the social sciences, so I feel that that gives me the ability to better represent the arts and social sciences community as a whole. And so, yeah, I just really want to get involved, and I think that this is a perfect position for someone who is just starting out in their career at Dalhousie.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question I have is, why are you the most qualified for this position?
I've been on several different councils in the past. I have been on student council at my middle school and my high school from grade 7 till 11. Unfortunately, in grade 12, I had to move, so I wasn't able to run, or else I totally would have. I really like student council, and I love the opportunities that it gave me to, be involved in my community and to be able to create a community for the students in my school. I was also the co-president of my school's Gay Straight Alliance for a semester. It only ran for a little while I was at that school, so I wasn't able to continue a long term, but I was able to support it and be there for when I was at that school. So I have quite a bit of experience being on councils. I'm also in the student leadership program at Dalhousie right now, and I will have completed that by the end of the semester. So once the new term starts for the DSU. So that will give me knowledge to be able to be an effective student leader. There's also, I plan on enrolling in it again next year for the second part of it. And so I will be able to gain that knowledge as I go and as I'm in this position.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question I have is, please describe your platform.
So my platform is about just making sure that arts and social sciences students really have a great experience here at Dal. That's another reason that this is a great position, because I feel like it's specific enough that I can really focus on a good small community. So I really want to make sure that like arts and social sciences students are also able to learn outside of the classroom like other disciplines are. So I really want to explore some avenues for internships and co-ops, or just any opportunity that really allows arts and social sciences students to get outside the classroom and get more hands-on experience. I know that there are other universities with co-ops for arts, and I really want to try my hardest to bring that to Dalhousie. I also, as a first-year student, I felt like I wasn't always given great information all the time, and it wasn't all in just one place, and it was sometimes very hard to find. So I want to kind of streamline that a little bit and just have the questions that I know I had as a first year student in a more central location and detailed, and even just things that aren't necessarily about the university, but university life. I know there's a few things out there, but they're kind of not just in one. I couldn't find them in one central location, so I want to make sure that there is that out there. Also, I want to make sure that arts and social science students are able to communicate with me, and I'm really taking their feedback, so I want to maintain a forum for that. And I just want to make sure that really we're all getting the best experience here at Dalhousie.
Wonderful, thank you. The next question I have is, what do you think is the most pressing issue to the Dalhousie community right now?
I think the most pressing issue would be just a sense of like really being community and like inclusivity, and just making sure that everybody is feeling included and feeling like they belong here, especially with recent political things. I really think coming together as a community of Dalhousie and as a student body, and just making sure that everyone is welcome and that people have a safe spot at the university.
Great, thank you. The next question is, what are specific policies or initiatives you will advocate for on behalf of students in the arts and social sciences faculty?
So initiatives, like I mentioned, I really do want to look for other ways of learning that the arts students can benefit from. I also want to make sure that we have more initiatives for involving minority students and female students, and making sure, again, as I mentioned before, inclusivity and like community, and just just making sure that people are able to find their place at Dalhousie and specifically in the arts and social sciences.
Great, thank you. The next question I have, the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences is broad, with numerous academic programs in a variety of disciplines. Why are you the best choice to represent the interests of students across all of these programs?
So as I mentioned earlier, I'm pursuing a degree with both humanities and social sciences. So I'm majoring in philosophy with a double minor in gender and women's studies and economics. And so I do have, I am in both of the parts of arts and social sciences with the humanities and social sciences. I also have a very broad interest. I didn't initially come to Dalhousie wanting to take philosophy. So I have taken a bunch of other courses to get involved in other disciplines. And so I do have that knowledge. I also have numerous friends in the arts and social sciences from different disciplines or from different majors, and so I want to be able to take that knowledge that I have, but also, as I said, connect with other arts and social sciences students and making sure I'm really representing what they want. So yeah, I do have my own knowledge, but I also really want to learn from other people, and I want to take their suggestions into account.
Absolutely, thank you. Next, I have, currently, the process for starting and operating a student-led society is quite difficult and time-consuming. What will you do to ensure societies within the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences have the resources and supports they need?
So I would love to advocate for societies. I think they're very important, and they are really important to finding the community that I spoke of earlier, because they are a very specific community within Dalhousie. So any initiatives put forward to make societies easier, I will fully support. I really, yeah, like societies are something I really want to foster and ensure that people are able to pursue their interests. University is supposed to be the place where you can really like narrow down and, where you choose like something to major in. And so like societies can be a way to really develop your interests. And so, yeah, I will support any initiatives that want to make that easier and streamline that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Student societies are such a kind of an integral part of the university experience. Yeah, they're super important. So I only have two more questions, actually. So the next one is, what does an accessible executive slash council mean to you? And how will you make yourself accessible throughout the school year?
Yeah, so an accessible council to me means like not only are people open to hearing your suggestions, but you truly feel like they're going to listen to you. So I want to make sure that people do know that I'm not just here trying to like run my own agenda. Like I want to listen to what the arts and social sciences want, and I want to put that forward. And so I really want to represent the community that I'm supposed to be representing, and make sure that people feel comfortable coming and talking to me. I do want to create a forum, even just a social media page where people can submit things, submit suggestions that they want to put forward as the arts and social sciences representative. I really do want to take suggestions and make sure that people see themselves being represented at the DSU. Yeah, so just being able to come and approach me and use the forum that I want to create. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we've arrived at the last question. So according to DSU bylaws, each counselor must sit on at least one DSU committee. Which committee do you hope to sit on and why?
That's a good question. I haven't really put a ton of thought of it into it. I'm a really open person, and I really would just love to get involved with anything. I don't know. Well, I just like I would love to get involved with anything. I believe there's a grants and scholarship one committee. Yeah, I would like to be on that one. I'm someone who really relies on grants and scholarships, and I know the importance that they have in students' lives. And university is such a great opportunity, but it also brings a lot of challenges with the cost, and especially the cost of living nowadays. And so to be able to serve on that council and to be able to help other people, and just that would be a great opportunity, and I would love to serve on that council.
Great, thank you. So those were all of the questions that I had. I would, open it up to any questions in the audience, but I suppose I can skip that for now. I'll let you kind of give like a closing statement if you'd like, just something quick to kind of sum up your campaign and all the things you've mentioned here this evening.
Okay. So I would really love to be the arts and social science representative and be able to represent this community that is broad, but is also a little bit more specific than the other communities that are represented on the DSU. And I really want to make sure that I am accessible and that suggestions can be heard, people can be represented, and that arts majors are able to have the best experience they can here at Dalhousie and just feel included and be involved in a community that they feel represented in.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Oh, oh, oh no. Uh-oh. Let's see. Hello. We just finished the Q&A. Did you have any questions for the candidate?
Oh, sorry, I was confused. I thought it was from 8 to 8:30. I was just here to support her, but never mind. All the best.
No, wonderful. Yeah, we just decided to hold it earlier since at the time there wasn't anyone in the audience. But wonderful. So if there's no questions, thank you for coming this evening, Olivia, to answer. So this is the end of our debate/Q&A evening, and this is a message more for anybody who's potentially watching this recording afterwards. The voting period is March 14th and 15th for the DSU elections. Please vote. Although if you're watching this, you're probably going to vote. So thank you for watching these videos and getting to know the candidates a little bit better. So if there are no other questions or thoughts from anyone here, we can go ahead and end. Thank you for coming.